And we're back. Welcome back, everyone. Craig and Jonah here today. How are you today, Jonah?
Doing pretty good. At the gym this morning, or no, actually not this morning, but the other day. And I was working out with a guy that we've known each other since we were little, and I've known all of his ex-wives, and uh, he's been
Sounds like a
divorced.
country music song.
He does kind of live a country music lifestyle,
Okay.
and he just broke up with his girlfriend too of like 7 years, and so he's going through kind of a downward. Like he's feeling good about it now, but it's kind of rough for a little while. And we were standing around talking. It was me and him and another woman that's divorced and a different guy that's still married. And he's like, there's one thing that I wish I understood about marriage earlier. So when a guy like that, he's got a lot of marital experience.
Is he younger, older than you?
Is
Similar age?
early 40s. Yeah.
Okay.
He said he just never understood that when an argument was over, it wasn't really over. He said, he would they'd have an argument. He'd think, oh, this is great. We're beyond that. But no, he said, really, he felt like she was just waiting for a different time to bring it up. And I said, it's just like the movie Jumanji, where you hear the game, just like thumping in the distance, like, oh, shit. So, just for those guys that aren't married yet, that's a reality. And that's something that it sounds cute, like, oh, you have these arguments that just keep flaring up over time. And so the other woman then that's divorced, she's like, that's just how God made us. We can't help it. And that's a, fair admission, I think. But for the guys out there that aren't married yet, this is just reality. And it actually isn't all that cute after a while. I think in most cases.
Yeah, I think trying to resolve those. I always struggle with how to resolve those problems, because once things kind of cool down, you're like, I don't really want to stoke this fire again, really. And then and you don't want to go back, so you just kind of like hope and pray that it's over, but it's
never over.
Not.
No, and that's really what I'm telling the guys that aren't married yet. This is just reality. I don't think there's any woman that doesn't deal with this.
Do they want us to bring it up and resolve it? Like what?
Well, there's no resolution.
Okay.
I don't think. Maybe hopefully there's the two women listeners that we have will shed some light on this, but I don't really think there's any resolution, and they don't want a resolution. I
seems that way,
because a lot of things seem to have real like answers or ways to figure out the problem. But
well, I made a rookie mistake the other day. And as it was happening, I was like, I knew what I was doing to myself, but I was like, I'm too far into this.
Do tell.
So my wife was,
and anybody that listens to us and knows us, if you want to tell our wives about this show, you have to come on the show and talk about your lives too.
Yeah, keep these things to ourselves, to yourselves, because stuff does get back, and it
has consequences.
It has real consequences. So, careful here. So my wife was frustrated about something, and it's one of these things where she was frustrated about something, and it was primarily pointed at someone else, but eventually she got around. There was an element where I was a contributing cause of this problem, right? And I'm okay with her dragging other people, but once the crosshairs hit me, I just get a little offensive, I guess.
So how do you deal with that, Craig?
Well, I haven't figured it out yet. So I have a podcast. So she was bringing up in I don't know if she does this on purpose or not, but she texts me when I'm at my normal work location, which is 45 minutes away. And so I can't really do anything about it. So I get this kind of long text message, and she was kind of had a bunch of things to say, and
a list.
It was a long text.
All right.
It was a long text message.
Looked like it was AI generated.
No, she doesn't do. This is all
it's real,
true, transparent thoughts out of that my bride's head. Okay. And so she sends this message, and I don't know why I keep making this mistake. We haven't really had this problem in a while, but I started to offer, I thought was a gentle, not necessarily a solution, but a diagnosis.
Oh man.
That was the wrong thing. It was I was meant to just listen and support.
Yeah, I think really all you can do is say, "Yeah, you're right. That is annoying or
I am a rat
unfortunate, or
bastard sometimes." And
it's all my fault."
yeah. So anyway, so as I was doing it, I was like, "Uh-oh." But I had already sent a couple of messages, so I was like, "Well, I guess I'm in." So I
You're gonna just duke
wrap
it
up
out.
my thoughts. And then communication stopped at that point. I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Well, at least the fight's over. Until you get home.
Yeah. Well, so I was like, so I had a couple of appointments, and I left early. I think this was a Friday. I think it was last Friday, and I left about 2 o'clock. I was like, I'm gonna stop home and give her a big hug. And I did, but she really wasn't interested in that.
Well, it's a good try.
And it eventually came out, and she
After you had further discussion.
well, I would call it discussion, but there was further elaboration. And this time I was ready, and I made it clear I was sorry for being the solution guy, not just listening. And this is hard because this is not the way men's brains think. Okay. This is one thing they really should have taught people before we got married.
Yeah, you cannot solve the problem.
This is universal. Like,
I don't know. I don't know. So any women out there that can help us through this and what we should do in those instances, I would be more than willing to listen.
yeah. I think somehow when they do that, and especially again, to me, it feels different when they're going on about someone else or something else as opposed to you. When they circle you into the mix, that it's like, well, let me explain myself here a little bit. Man, you got to not do that.
Yep.
But I think,
do you just take it then? Just like if a grizzly bear is mad, you just lay down there and let him shake you a while, and he'll walk away eventually.
I think so, but I've also learned that she can smell insincerity a mile away too. So
yeah, it's so like Christopher West, that's how that fake sincerity kind of comes through.
So
I got that issue too.
You gotta mean it somehow. And if you don't mean it, that becomes really hard. I'm not that good of an actor. So
it's difficult. Yeah.
Anyway, we got through, and
I really though don't know how to deal with that.
And
I have no idea what she wants me to do.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't see what was happening while it was happening. But like I said, I was already in solution mode before I realized, I just stepped in it. And then there was no coming back from it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to say what I think then.
Yeah, I lived in solution mode for a long time, and it's difficult to fight off those instincts. But I don't know, for whatever reason, that never works.
So anyway, yeah. We got through it. But speaking of resolution, there isn't usually a resolution here, because the process is she unloads what's bothering her, you listen, and then you move on, because you can't offer a solution. I mean, the solution is just her getting to vent her frustrations about you and about others too.
And I think it's just the venting that's the important part of the process.
Yep.
Like, and so they can tie that to other things.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. I try to take my venting out on the barbell and stuff, and if that doesn't work, a can of beer or something.
Are you telling me a solution here?
That's right. I know you can handle it.
I can't handle it.
Okay.
So then I was buying beef from a guy, and I don't know why, but people talk to me about sex, and I don't really know. I'm just a magnet for that. And he said to me, so we're talking about calves, and then all of a sudden,
you should stop wearing that shirt that says "Talk to me about sex." Ever thought about that?
I'm a Catholic. Talk to me about sex. I love talking about sex. No, it's like he just was talking about how they don't have intimacy very often, and he's like, I think I'm going to start asking for it more often. He's like, he goes, not in a demanding way or whatever, but he's like, just once every other month is just brutal. You can just see the pain in his eyes. You know, like, man.
She's like, this is great. He only asks every couple of months.
Well, and so he then said, you know, other acts essentially, you know, he's not Catholic or anything, but he's like other acts would just be awesome.
Oh,
And
so he's not. They don't do it not because they have Christopher West haunting their brains, but because
she's
just
just not interested. And so
Yeah.
he said that her response to that would be, well, you have your own hand.
Ah.
And
See, this is the one thing that Catholics have. You could say, I can't do that, honey.
yeah, and so like basically though, she's basically telling him that, well, honey, we're gonna get the fastest internet speed possible in our house because you're gonna need it. You know, I mean, it's such a rejection though. Like she has no idea how painful that is for him. I know.
He's got to share his feelings.
So he's going to.
I don't know. Walking.
Oh yeah, it'll take some. She won't understand. Like I think that's one of the most difficult aspects of marriage is that men and women are so different that we don't know what each other really needs. You know, and so for men, you really only need, I think, two things. So one A is intimacy, and number two is like respect and support. Like if you had a woman or a wife that would totally respect you and support what you did and be actively interested in intimacy, like I don't think there's a guy alive that would do literally anything for her.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. The rest of the stuff is just icing on the cake. It doesn't really matter. It's those two things that are most important, I think.
Yeah, and those are my two love languages: words of affirmation or respect, physical touch.
Uh-huh. Maybe we're in the same boat. I don't know, but
Yeah.
So
well, sorry for that guy.
Yeah, well, he's working on it. So
well, let us know how that goes.
We'll give you an update. I think I'll see him again.
It,
this stuff is so painful. You just see it in his eyes, though, and he's talking about how painful it was to do it every other month. I've been there. You know, reminded me of when I was telling you about my struggles, and then you're like, yeah, you know, sometimes we have to go like 14 days, and it's like, oh my gosh.
I was thinking about that the other day.
It reminded me of the scene from Dumb and Dumber when they're, you know, have you seen that movie?
It's been a while,
but when they get to Aspen, Colorado, and they're freezing, and Harry's like, Lloyd, I can't do this anymore. My hands are freezing, and he's like, oh, I've got this pair of extra gloves. My hands are getting sweaty.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, oh, you son of a, been struggling for years. We were talking about this, and I thought that you were in the same boat as me, and here every other week is your problem.
Well, I was thinking about that the other day when the frustrations that led to you and I starting to talk and then us starting to record it. I'm like, man, I actually had it pretty good back then. Other than our communication about things was much worse than it is now.
Yeah.
But we weren't having to use the Marquette as rigorous as we are now, so we were able to enjoy things more. But maybe we're just never really happy. Maybe that's the problem.
I don't know. I think I can be.
Yeah, I think there is a schedule that I could be. Yeah,
because
check that out.
Well, when we are that frequent, like my life is substantially.
Yeah, I mean, there was a period last year between postpartum and when the cycles came back that we made a very concerted effort, and it was amazing. Like,
you just can't believe how good life is.
Yeah, I didn't even have to think about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So now maybe if we were enjoying that for years on end, maybe I'd start to get restless and be looking for greener pastures.
And just for those unmarried guys out there, those periods of bliss are like, we're talking, I don't know, months to like a year out of like a long marriage, like for both of us. Honestly,
it was about 5 months out of a 22-year marriage. I was like, all right, this is great.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking, okay, and I just got to get to menopause, but now everything I read is like, well, then you got a whole other set of problems unless you supplement
juice it up.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I don't know. I think that everybody's want to feel good and be the best person they can be. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Depends on, everybody's got a different situation there.
Yeah. So, all right. I get some Anything else?
No.
Okay.
I did tell my wife though that I wasn't opposed to testosterone replacement therapy, you know, if I needed it. But,
Oh.
you know, because we were talking about hormone replacement therapy, and I think she was skeptical of it from
You
like
as far
I
as
like
you getting it or she getting
well,
it?
me,
Okay.
you know, and I just said, well, I would want more energy, and if I needed it, so I don't know. Maybe I'll go to the doctor and get a physical and see if I need to get juiced up. I don't know.
Hmm.
Look like RFK.
Yeah. Oh, and that guy, he's a complete maniac. So give me
Well, he had a brain
toned down
he,
recipe.
he had a brain parasite.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
That's why
that's
he's
true.
he's a total philanderer.
Well, I don't know. I mean, shoot, man, neither of us can imagine what that's like to have women constantly seek us out every day. Well, okay,
It plays out in my imagination
I'll
quite a
speak
bit.
for myself.
Yeah. Speak for yourself, buddy. Okay.
Anyways,
Well, yeah, keep us posted on that. But I guess I'm gonna find out here eventually. I mean, we're closer to menopause than we were when we got married, I think.
yeah,
So we'll see. Hey, um, last week we did a reaction video to our good old friend Christopher West. Hi, Christopher. And that was popular. And this week I wanted to do a reaction to our other great friend Ellen.
awesome,
What do you think about that?
love it.
Okay. And I got the technology issues worked out a little bit, so I think I'll be able to play it without sticking it up to the microphone. So I got some notes taken down here, find our spots. Let's see. We'll start here.
Total choice over. Like the one thing in your life.
I should have say the title of this episode is
How to avoid having sex with your husband.
Yeah. Quote, I hate NFP and other things we think.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, hey, I might be able to relate to this video.
Is your thoughts. Like and sometimes we can be like, oh no, like thoughts just like pop in my head. You have complete and total choice to accept those thoughts or be like, no, brain, that thought is total BS. This is the thought I'm going to think right now.
Mm-hmm.
You actually have that choice. But this is a muscle. Like your brain actually is a muscle, but like
True.
also like choosing the thoughts is a muscle. This is something that we need to practice of like rejecting thoughts that we don't want to think anymore and then choosing thoughts that we do want to think. This is a muscle. But it is a skill that we can learn. And I think it is something that we do not utilize at all enough. And so we're going to be talking about it in a very specific circumstance of NFP.
So basically they're saying if you hate NFP, you just change your thoughts to love NFP.
All right, that's a skill that's useful for marriage, not just NFP, I guess.
Yeah, right. But I was thinking to myself, well, what if you want to believe that NFP is great, but in your mind that does feel like BS, or not even NFP, but just the other set of monkeys that goes along with all this in Catholic marriage, depending on who you listen to.
Yeah.
Right. I at some point you can't reject what your brain really believes. I don't think.
People join cults and stuff. I don't know. I mean, and that's kind of, I mean,
but it is. It's like, isn't it funny? Like, how many people actually like NFP? Not very many. Not even the ladies. Some of these ladies like NFP all the time. So we're all having to train ourselves to like NFP.
You will like this.
Yeah. Maybe we should ask why everyone hates it.
We need like that communist propaganda, like NFP is great.
Right.
NFP is your friend.
Maybe. So, okay. So I want to, I have some thoughts on what she says. I'm going to skip over some stuff here.
dislike NFP. You can think that NFP restricts your ability to have sex with your husband. You can think that NFP is the problem. You can think that NFP is the reason that you guys aren't able to have sex, etc. Right?
She read your emails.
You can. You can
Yes.
think all of these things. And maybe you are thinking all of these things. But here's the crazy thing is you actually can choose to think that NFP is a great gift in your marriage. That NFP is the reason that your husband and you are even able to have sex right now because you're avoiding pregnancy. You can think that you are grateful for the fact that you're able to track your cycles and even have a couple of available days. Because guess what? If you didn't have NFP and you were like, we can't have a baby right now, you would just not be having sex.
Or she'd be having babies.
Yell that into the microphone.
Yeah.
But I just, guys, we have got to stop putting all these negative thoughts into our head about.
She's not a huge fan of the show, is what she's saying. At least
Yeah.
ours.
So be grateful that we let you have sex 2 or 3 times a month. Well, not this, with 2 or 3 days a month. I guess whether you do it multiple times or not is up to you. Let them eat cake.
Yeah.
This feels like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, just recognize here. The reason why you can't be having sex is because we're told we can't use birth control and stuff like that. And maybe that's right, but just recognize there are ways around this. NFP is not the only option out there. In fact, it's probably one of the least desirable options out there. So, I mean, the optics of this are like, I mean, it's sort of like if someone imprisons you and then they bring you a sandwich once in a while and they say you should be grateful because if we didn't feed you, you'd
Mhm.
starve to death in this prison. Well, yeah, but you put me in this prison. Why am I supposed to be thankful you bring me a sandwich? I shouldn't be here at all.
Or if the guy comes home and you worked 40 hours a week for like their whole marriage, and then he says, well, you know what? I've kind of had enough and I'm just going to work 10 hours a week and we'll be fine. You know,
Yeah.
financially, we can eat beans and rice.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll survive.
Be grateful.
Be grateful that I can provide beans and rice for you.
So,
I don't know how many people would be grateful for that.
and I don't think we have to be like tell ourselves we should be grateful. Like no one's going to be grateful for that, especially when I know it doesn't have to be this way. That's where I think is this is where I think it sounds tone deaf. Be like telling people, like you can't use these other options, fine. But then, also you need to be grateful that we let you do, give you 2 or 3 days a month to do things like, I don't know, save your bullshit. Like it's just, and then they all go on later to talk about how, the cross and how suffering is, and actually fine. I mean,
so the cross is fine. Life is tough. You just got to suffer through this.
I would take that. I would rather just hear that. Like, save me this be grateful crap. And just say life is hard. It's supposed to be hard. This is going to save your soul, even if your marriage is going to be kind of hell. Fine.
And it's in times of tribulation that you grow spiritually.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That at least seems more genuine, less disingenuous than this stuff. Because like, no, you're like playing mind games on yourself. Be grateful for the fact that you got 2 or 3 days, or I mean, for most of us, it's not that lean, but it
can be. That other guy that I talked to, I mean, that's not even NFP related.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's a lot of pain.
Yeah. So that if that's what we have to do to tell people, oh yeah, just convince your mind that it's great that you have 2 or 3 days out of the month to enjoy each other. No one actually believes that. She doesn't even believe that.
She's trying to convince herself.
I think so. So anyway,
Unless she's exhausted from the kids and that sort of thing, and then
Yeah.
2 times a month is
Well,
probably enough.
she might be happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but she does try to offer opinions on what her husband thinks, and I think that's kind of interesting. So
I'm sure he loves it too.
yeah, well,
just loves
according
it.
to her, he does. So
Loves the confession. So
yeah, probably.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's one of the few
Benefits
to this lifestyle. Is it keeps the men in the confessional alive.
frequent examination of conscience.
Right. Yeah, you avoid situations where it's been a long time since you went to confession.
That's true.
All right, so let's listen to another section.
Be like, you know what, Cloud? I don't need you right now. And I am going to, like, let's take this example that I just gave of like NFP is only giving us like 3 available days per month.
Yeah.
Literally 180 that thought. Because again, if you have chosen, if you have discerned that now is not a good time to have a child, then your other option is not having sex.
Yeah.
And so you can actually choose, wow, I am so grateful that we have these 3 days available.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that my husband is so grateful.
Well, he
And
sure
I'm going to
is.
get into that thought in just a second too.
All right, let's
All
hear.
right, yeah, I'm going to tease you guys a little bit. We're not going to play that right now. This is where I think the messaging falls off the rails, because if these folks said, hey, God gave us other non-conjugal act options,
Mhm.
individually or together, or the old Onan special or something like that, if people really want to roll the dice, like if those were available to us, I think this actually would make some sense.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. Then NFP seems reasonable.
I think so. I mean, not easy,
At least
still difficult, but a manageable problem at that point.
yeah, there's not much to complain about, probably.
But when it's, oh no, you're going to be cousins
And you're gonna enjoy it.
and you're going to enjoy it, that's where I just think it's this is where I think the church, well, I don't even want to say this is what the church thinks. I'm not convinced this is actually what the church says, but this is where I think the Christopher West of the world lose an opportunity to present what I think is, in fact, a viable alternative to the mainstream, just do whatever you want attitude, any kind of contraception, all this and that. I think we could offer a viable option if the couples had actual other options other than contraception and abstinence. So,
And we know that, what is it, more than 90% of Catholics choose, other options.
which,
Doesn't make it right.
well, 90% of Catholics choose contraception, which tells you that it's not like other acts or whatever, or some panacea. I mean,
That's true.
people still go after the real thing, right? So they're
There's
those
no sacrifice in other acts.
yeah. So that for those that think, oh, you're going to have your cake and eat it too. No, I mean, there's a sacrifice there. Otherwise, everyone would do that.
And who doesn't want to have their cake and eat it too? Like, what are you gonna do with the cake?
Yeah,
So it's wasteful to not eat it.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know.
So this is where I think I just really think how is this attractive to anyone? I mean, this messaging is for Catholics that don't have a choice. Imagine a non-Catholic stumbling upon this and thinking, "Hey, I might become Catholic." Why would you?
But there are some non-Catholics that use NFP.
Yeah, but the vast majority of them, from what I can tell, use condoms or the pull-out method or other things.
Cheaters.
Yeah. I know that. I mean, because I listened to some of their shows.
Oh, and that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
if you weren't bound to those rules.
yeah. I actually like NFP from the standpoint, like, I think if you had some more flexibility during the times that you can't do the full thing.
Instead of just going to confession every week.
Yeah, right. So, okay.
All right.
Let's see. The next one I want to talk about here is. Well, let's continue on.
And I'll eventually let you talk, Kathleen.
No, I'm loving this.
There is
Keep going.
actually another
Keep
person,
going.
co-host here. You
I am
just
so
gotta-
grateful that we have these 3 days available. And I know that my husband is so grateful that we have these 3 days available. And we're gonna use these 3 days. Or we're gonna use one of them at least. And I'm just
Yay!
like so glad that we are able to unite together.
Unless your kids are sick during that time, you're out of town for work or whatever.
I feel like she's being delusional at that point.
I just don't believe that her husband.
Or that a woman in her luteal phase is just going to be all about it.
Yeah.
I mean.
No. Right.
And that God sees how important sex is, that he figured out a way to design the female body to where I can actually track this and know with confidence that I have X amount of days that I cannot get pregnant if my husband and I come together. And what a gift that is. Did you know that you're actually able to think that thought? Like you're
also able to think, I wish I could have sex every day.
Yeah. Nope.
No, it's better the other way.
Yeah.
We like just 3 days a month.
Yeah.
3 days a month is good.
Yeah.
Just keep saying it.
Yes. That's what it feels like. And in this idea of God's design, not to be too flippant about it. Like, yeah, I mean, I get that, except that we didn't figure out the design until 50 to 75 years ago.
And there's a reason those guys in the Old Testament had more than one wife. I mean,
Yeah,
let's just be real about that. That was problem solving right there.
I struggle with the idea that God gave us this great design, but he for the 99% of human history, sorry people, you're just on your own. For most of them, it just meant they have a bunch of kids and the wives eventually die in childbirth or whatever. Not too many of the people in history chose the I'm just going to be celibate all the time lifestyle.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. It's horrible. Most of them say, I would rather risk some horrible pregnancy than live that way. And that's true.
It is true. It affects your marriage. It affects your life.
So this is where I think I just think this is this modern mindset we have. Oh yeah, NFP is great. Look, we figured out God's design. Yeah. Okay. Well, what about how many billions of people that lived prior to the early 1900s?
Yeah, I think there's been like 100 billion people that have lived on Earth.
Yeah.
Homo sapiens.
Yeah, I think they'd probably have a word to say. Okay. So we get to, she talks about her husband a little bit now.
Actually can. No matter what your circumstance is, you can think that thought.
Yeah.
And now I want to dig into that husband thought that I gave where I was like, and I know my husband is so grateful for these 3 days. Okay. You can think. You don't actually know what's going on in your husband's brain.
I believe that.
I
totally believe that.
She has no idea.
You do not. No matter what he says, right? Because all the time, think about how many times.
There's a reason for that. If he hears about his concupiscence,
yeah,
you have no idea what he's thinking about.
Yeah. This is actually a really funny exchange here.
You say something out loud that is not what you're thinking. We do not know what is going on in someone else's brain. So you actually can think. My husband is so grateful for these 3 days because on some level, he really is. I know he is, right?
Yeah.
On some level, right? He might out loud talk about his frustration about it.
But really, he loves it.
I mean, listen to this. What is this?
that's just his thoughts. You're not going to control his thoughts. His thoughts don't matter to your thoughts.
Yeah.
Your thoughts can be.
His thoughts don't matter.
My
period.
wife's thoughts clearly affect my life, my life and my wife.
I'm so grateful for this. I know my husband is so grateful for this. And I'm so thank you, God, for the ability to use these days.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a lot.
Listen.
That weird cackle at the end. I had to.
Standard brainwashing technique there.
Woo!
Listen, that's something.
Wow.
He loves it too, even though he says he doesn't.
Yeah.
What the?
What is going on here?
You know, sometimes thoughts get away from you, maybe when you're speaking out loud, and because I don't know what to think about that.
I mean, I'm just baffled.
I wonder what her husband thinks about that segment.
I think I know, but I know better what he thinks than she does.
That's true.
And maybe it doesn't change anything, but this monkey business about just, I mean, oh yeah, he loves it, and I mean, this is delusional. And there's you can't tell me that if he thinks otherwise, he's going to ever tell her.
Yeah, I mean,
are you going to tell this? No, I think this NFP stuff's all bullshit. Hey, my beloved wife who sells courses telling couples how to love NFP. I actually think NFP is kind of bullshit.
Or just not even to put it to that level, but just say I'm just struggling.
Yeah,
like I'm struggling so much with this.
Yeah, the 3 days out, the 3 days out of the month are not doing it for me, and I'm. In case you're wondering why I'm down at confessionals every week, this is why.
Or why I upgraded the internet speed.
Yeah. Right. He's never going to say that.
Yeah.
And from what I could tell, she's never going to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because again, we don't have any other options. At least in her mind, there are no other options.
Mm-hmm.
Your options are make the best of it or be miserable about it, because there is, it's not like, I don't think people would naturally come to this perspective unless it was already determined for them that the options most people consider, whether it's contraception or other acts and stuff, already off the table. Well, yeah, if that stuff is off the table, then I guess this is the best you can make of a horrible situation.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what look at how this actually plays out. This is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It is tough.
So, I'm guessing most of our audience feels the same way as us. We don't have a lot of NFP lovers in the audience. I've included. So. And again, I actually, as much as I go on about this stuff, I personally don't mind NFP so much. It's the other stuff that goes with it, or the moral quandary that goes with it, that I think is the real problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, if you could only be together a few days a month, but yet other options.
Yeah. I didn't put that. Maybe next week I'll put the poll up. Did you see the Twitter poll I did about if couples, what was it? Could choose if you could only have sex like twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
but you could use other acts as much as you want the rest of the month.
Yeah, I think I responded to that one.
I'm guessing you.
You know which one I picked.
Yeah. And so here are the two options. One, if you could only have sex like twice a month, but you could use other acts as much as you wanted the rest of the month, or you cannot use other acts, but you have to abstain for 2 weeks out of the month. But you can have sex as much as you want during the 2 weeks you can. What would you choose? Overwhelmingly, the men chose, I'll do it twice a month if I can do the other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which seems counterintuitive because it's always, well, men are the ones that want sex all the time. Well, not if it's paired with 2 weeks of complete and total abstinence.
Yeah.
The vast majority of men
What
pick.
about the women then?
We don't get as many responses, but
Mhm.
the vast majority of the women chose the 2 weeks of abstinence.
Oh god.
How about that?
Isn't that something? Boy, that says a lot. I wonder what that is. Like, do you think it's like the biological side of it, or do you think it's related to the rules that they're accustomed to?
So a few theories of floated around in the comments, and I'll try not to reveal what I think is really going on here. But here are some of the theories that have been floated. Number one, a lot of women like having kind of being left alone for a couple of weeks out of the month.
Maybe even a couple of months.
Yeah, more. 2 months is better than 2 weeks. I mean, so one explanation offered is that women like having the break, whereas men, we'd like to not have breaks.
Mhm.
Right. I can see that being plausible.
Yeah.
Another suggestion or another explanation offered was that some women like the control they have over the marriage and the relationship when
You don't say.
I know I really hadn't considered this before, but that women in an NFP relationship where the husband can only enjoy himself with her and through her provides her with a level of control over the relationship that she wouldn't have under the other scenario. So
Hence the other podcast.
yeah, I don't know.
That's very possible.
That seems possible, but that's as much as I want to say about that.
Did that speculation come from a man or a woman? You know.
I think these were both from men. I don't
Okay.
think the women said.
All
So, and maybe there's other reasons to maybe. I mean, maybe women enjoy the conjugal act much more than these other things.
Oh, that's possible too, I suppose. I don't know. I kind of be surprised by that. Totally.
Yeah, they probably don't know what they're missing. Maybe it's my my assumption.
Yeah.
But it was very, very, very interesting, and I couched it in terms of like assume both of these options are moral. So don't answer based on what you think is
Mhm.
morally allowed. These are both morally available options, but you have to pick one or the other. What you're going to pick? The vast majority of men were willing to go a couple times a month if they could ready access to other things the rest of the month. But the vast majority of women took the option that had 2 weeks of complete and total abstinence built into it. So,
Well, hopefully some women can shed some light on that.
yeah, I'd like to run a poll on a bigger audience for that. Maybe I could do it on. Maybe I'll do it on YouTube. I'll have to write that down. There's a if you're watching this on YouTube, I think I can run the poll. It'd be great for we have a lot more. I don't know how many. I think we had maybe 30 or 40 votes on that on Twitter, but if we could get a couple hundred people
Mhm.
on YouTube to go over to that poll, just so go to the YouTube channel. It's under like the community page or posts. There will be a poll. I'll put that poll up here. I don't know how long it could stay up. I think it can stay up maybe it'll be up indefinitely. But I think that'd be a really interesting poll to run to a broader audience. And then I would really like I said, I'd like to get some women to come on and try and explain from their perspective, because I understand why the men
Don't ask questions you don't want answers
yeah,
to.
maybe that's the case. But I don't know. My curiosity has gotten the best of me on this.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So maybe curiosity killed Onan. I don't know.
Could have.
Yeah. So all right. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoy the reaction videos. It's nice because it sort of sets the stage for what I would say the polite Catholic commentators say. This is it. This is what they're saying.
Mhm.
Christopher West, Christopher West had some stuff today that we could this week that we could have talked about, but I'm fine because I think that really is kind of what we are reacting to a little bit. That like there's
We're
plenty.
supposed to love it.
Yeah, boy, I'll tolerate it if I have to tolerate it. I'll tolerate, but you start telling me I gotta like it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna become real ornery real fast. I think.
Yeah.
So, and I hope that's okay. Hope the Lord understands that.
I hope so too.
Otherwise, I just think you have to do some really elaborate mental gymnastics that I think at some point in time you can't. Your mind is going to rebel against that, and I think in some situations people just toss their hands up. Like, this Catholicism stuff isn't for me. I know there are people that's the end.
Over rules like this, which is silly.
Yeah.
Because Catholicism is a lot more than
Yeah.
just the rules about what you can do in marriage.
We're here because we don't want these rules to be the the thing that just breaks people's total faith. Like we would like to help people that are in the midst of the struggle try to make some sense of it. And if you can't make sense of it, at least realize you're not alone.
And, the people that I know that have left the Catholic faith, it isn't about really that they lack faith in God. It's just, it has a lot to do with these rules.
And I think a lot of prospective Catholics choose not to join for these rules. I mean, this is the thing that makes Catholics very unique from everyone else, for better or for worse.
And some people would say there's a reason for that.
Some wear it as a badge of honor. Great. But I think you better be damn sure you're right about this, because you are causing enormous amounts of harm in people's marriages, good people trying to follow these rules if they can follow them. But I think you're also driving a lot of people away from their faith, or keeping people from joining it at all because of these things. And I hope whoever decided these are the rules is right, because otherwise I think there's going to be some answering. So something to be an answer for later on.
Was that a threat?
Observation. I don't think I'll be the one doing the threatening, so that'd be odd. Yeah, if you die and I'm sitting next to Peter with a notebook,
the pearly gates.
Yeah, good luck to you guys.
Oh gosh.
Now, I'm going to be very merciful to the non Christopher West people. All right.
It's tough, man. I mean, I get why people like the rules, because there's safety in that, but there's just so much suffering too.
A lot of suffering that I think goes unnoticed. So
yeah,
we're here to try to
just shed light on that and just laugh about it, because that's all you can really do.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right.
So don't take us too seriously, or take theological advice from us.
Yeah, don't take theological advice. Go to confession.
Even though I was joking about high internet speeds, I do not support porn, just in case anybody wants to come at us for that again.
It's all stick figures, and the text is in Latin. It's all captioned. They're silent videos, stick people, Latin subtitles. All right. Okay. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, Ellen, for the content. We appreciate it. We'll give you a shout.
You're welcome on the show again anytime.
I keep waiting every week for her episode to drop. Let me talk about those uncharted Catholic men. I mean no bad ill will. I genuinely don't.
I think it's just a lack of understanding.
Yeah.
She has no idea what her husband goes through.
Yeah, I would love to have a true open conversation with her or anyone else in that camp. We are here. We have an open email inbox. We have an open invitation to you. But I'm not holding my breath that that's going to get accepted. So we'll see. All right. Okay.
All right.
Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, Jonah.
You bet. And it's Good Friday, so start the Divine Mercy Novena today.
Oh, well, they won't get this until Sunday.
So hopefully you're doing it.
Yeah.
We will be as a family. So
happy Easter.
Yep. Happy Easter.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one.